Now we're going to work on building an RL circuit. That's a resistor inductor circuit. And our prototypical resistor inductor circuit looks somewhat like this. You have some kind of source here. It's connected to a resistor, value R. And that's connected in series to an inductor. Inductor has a value L. And we usually analyze this in terms of the inductor current, VIL, or the voltage across the inductor, which would be VL. And we know what resistors look like, we know what capacitors look like, or what do inductors look like. So inductor is really a coil of wire, usually wrapped around some kind of magnetic core. Like here's a really crude example of it. It's literally just a bunch of copper wire wrapped around a bar of steel. When we apply a current across here, it generates a magnetic field, and the inductor stores energy in the magnetic field. So another example right here, this is a 2 or 3 turn inductor. It's a very small inductor, and that's for blocking things like radio signals from getting into or outside of a piece of electronics. So getting a little bit more complicated, this is a transformer. It's 2 inductors. You can see the 2 yellow boxes on there, and they're wound on this common core right here. So when one inductor gets a current that induces a magnetic field, the other one will feel that field or be exposed to that field and do something. Those are called transformers. So the inductor that we use in our lab today looks like this. It has 2 wires on it. It almost looks like a spool on the inside, and you can kind of see the spool and the wires round helically around that spool, and both ends of the wire are brought out here. So these inductors are fairly fragile, and we usually have a bunch of them around because if they get too much current, they tend to burn out because the wire is super thin. So another type of inductor you might see is something called a surface mount inductor, if you're looking at a surface circuit board. So this thing right here, this little black box that my finger's pointing to, is an inductor, and that works on a switching power supply that was in this circuit.